Now God is rushing to repay you. You think you're running the game, huh? You think you've got this life figured out. Let me wake you up from your slumber. It's time to face the cold, brutal truth that you've been running away from. Every single one of you who's been hiding behind your excuses. Every one of you who's been lying to yourself it's over. You've been living a lie, believing that time will magically fix your situation. That somehow, the universe will hand you what you want on a silver platter. You think you're out here fighting some little battle, right? A battle of comfort. A battle of convenience. A battle for a life that's easy without scars, without pain. But here's what you don't realize. You've been in a war all along. The war of survival. The war of mental strength. And every single second you've been wasting, that's time lost in a war you're too afraid to engage in. You wiped them out without even noticing. You didn't see it. You thought your actions were small, insignificant. But you were already winning. They didn't stand a chance. But here's the question, did you notice? Did you notice how every time you shut your eyes, closed your ears, and chose the easy way out, you were silently destroying your own weaknesses? Every sacrifice you made, every time you chose discomfort over comfort, you were gaining ground. You thought you were weak, didn't you? You thought you weren't built for greatness. But guess what? God was watching. He saw you when you pushed through when everyone else quit. He saw you when you didn't give up, even when it seemed like the whole world was against you. When you kept walking even though you were dragging yourself through hell. God was watching. And now the time is coming when everything you've done in silence, everything you've suffered through, every ounce of effort, sweat, blood, and tears is about to pay off. You're about to find out what happens when you rise from the ashes. You're about to find out that every ounce of pain you've endured, every wound you've suffered, has been molding you for this moment. You're not weak. You're battle-tested. You're built for war. So stop hiding from the truth. Stop playing small. The truth is, you've been in the game the whole time. You've been tearing down your own weaknesses, grinding away at your fears, and now the rewards are rushing to meet you. They're coming. But if you want them, you better open your eyes. Stop waiting for a sign. This is the sign. Now the clock is ticking and you have no more time for hesitation. This isn't some fairy tale. This is real life, and the world isn't going to wait for you to catch up. The only thing standing between you and everything you've ever wanted is the strength to act, to move, to destroy the old version of you that's been holding you back. What are you going to do about it? Will you sit back and wait for more signs? Or will you get up and start taking what's rightfully yours? Because believe me, the universe is ready to hand it to you, but only if you're ready to accept the price. Now look around. The world doesn't give you breaks. It doesn't wait for anyone. You either rise or fall. So ask yourself, which one are you? Now God is rushing to repay you. You're still sitting there, aren't you? Still in the same spot, staring into the abyss of your own fear. You're fooling yourself, thinking that somehow, by some miracle, the universe is just going to hand you everything you desire. But let me break it to you. Because it's time someone told you the hard truth. You've been lying to yourself. You've been telling yourself that now is not the right time. You've been telling yourself you don't have what it takes. You've been waiting for the stars to align, for the perfect moment to appear. But you know deep down, you're not waiting for the perfect moment. You're waiting for an excuse to stay comfortable. You're waiting for validation. You're waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to take action. But here's the catch, the world doesn't care if you feel ready. The world doesn't care about your doubts. It doesn't care that you're afraid. The world is indifferent, and it's moving forward whether you choose to or not. You've been selling yourself a story, telling yourself that you're not ready yet. You've been convincing yourself that you need more time, more resources, more help before you can take that step forward. That's the lie you've been believing. You don't need anything else. You've got everything you need right now. You've been waiting for the conditions to be perfect. But let me tell you something, perfection is a myth. It doesn't exist. It's a crutch for the weak-minded, for those too afraid to step out into the unknown. The moment you keep waiting for will never come. Because the real truth is you're scared. You're terrified that if you take the first step, you'll fail. So you freeze, you wait, and you let that fear eat you alive. You want to know what real winners do. They don't wait for the perfect conditions. They create their own. They don't wait for things to line up. They act now with everything they've got. They don't care about failure, because failure is just another word for progress. Every step they take is a step towards greatness, no matter how much pain it causes. You keep thinking that there's some magical moment, some sign, some window that's going to open up and everything will just fall into place. But let me tell you, there isn't. Life doesn't care about your excuses. The universe doesn't hand you anything on a silver platter. The ones who succeed, the ones who rise above it all, are the ones who are willing to embrace the mess. The ones who will step into the chaos without a second thought. They don't ask for permission. They just go. You've been hiding behind the lie that you need to be perfect, that you need to have everything lined up before you can take action. But you don't need perfection. What you need is action. What you need is discipline. You need to put in the work, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it feels impossible. The people who rise to the top don't wait for the conditions to be ideal, they create their own conditions. But you've been playing it safe. You've been living in the land of excuses, convincing yourself that everything else is more important. Work, you say you'll get to it later. The gym, maybe tomorrow. That business idea, well, maybe next month. You think you're being smart. You think you're being cautious. But really, you're just being a coward. You've built a prison around yourself with these lies. And every time you convince yourself that you'll start tomorrow, you're locking yourself in tighter. Every day you wait, every hour you delay, you're giving up a piece of your future. You're giving up the chance to be something more than you are right now. You're letting your dreams die quietly in the corner of your mind while you tell yourself, it's not the right time. Let me ask you this, when is the right time? When the stars align, when your bank account is full, when you feel confident, when you feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. Ready isn't a feeling. Ready is an action. Ready is when you decide, right now, that you're done with excuses. Ready is when you choose to fight for your future, no matter what it takes. And what do you do instead? You let your doubts control you. You let the voice in your head tell you that you're not good enough. You let that voice tell you that you don't deserve success, that you can't handle the pressure, that you're just not cut out for it. You listen to those lies, and then you wonder why you're stuck in the same place. You wonder why you're not moving forward. You want to know why. Because you're listening to the wrong voice. You're listening to the voice of weakness. The voice that tells you to sit back, relax, and wait for something to happen. That voice is the voice of defeat. The truth is, you've been standing in your own way this entire time. You've been blocking your own progress by choosing comfort over sacrifice. You've been blocking your own success by hiding behind the illusion of it's not the right time. Let me make this clear, there is no perfect time. The only time that matters is right now. The only time you can control is the present. Every second you waste is a second you'll never get back. You keep telling yourself that you'll get there one day. But let me tell you, one day never comes. It's time to stop pretending like you have all the time in the world. It's time to stop hiding behind excuses. You've been believing the lie that you need more. More time, more resources, more knowledge. But all you need is action. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And until you take that first step, you will be stuck forever. You've been playing small, and you don't even realize it. You've been playing by the rules that keep you comfortable. You've been living by the lie that you need everything to be perfect before you can move. But the truth is, you'll never be ready. You'll never have everything you need. There will always be a reason to wait. But But what happens when you stop waiting? What happens when you make the decision to act now, without looking back? What happens when you stop making excuses and start taking ownership of your life? You'll find out what you're really made of. You'll find out that you've had it in you all along. You just needed to stop lying to yourself and take that first step into the unknown. Because that's where the magic happens. That's when you rise. And that's when God will start to move in your favor. Now God is rushing to repay you. The lies are dead. The excuses are shredded. Now, it's time for the raw, unfiltered, unrelenting truth. This isn't about motivation. This is about reality. This is about confronting the cold, hard facts. The things you've been running from. The things you've tried to ignore. You're not going to hear any sugarcoating in this section. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to make you face the truth about who you really are, what you're really capable of, and what's been holding you back all this time. The first truth. You're not as special as you think. You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled to success, to respect, to admiration, or even to happiness. That's not how the world works. The world doesn't care about your feelings. The world doesn't care about your comfort zones. The world only respects one thing: effort. The universe only respects the ones who are willing to take what they want, who are willing to fight for it, grind for it, suffer for it, and sacrifice for it. If you want something in this life, you better understand this. No one is going to give it to you. You've been sitting around, waiting for someone to hand you your dreams, haven't you? You've been waiting for that moment when everything finally falls into place. But that moment doesn't exist. That's a fantasy you've created in your head. A fantasy that's been keeping you in a state of perpetual inaction. And now it's time to tear that fantasy down. The truth is, you've been standing in your own way. You've been sabotaging your own success. You've been feeding yourself the lie that things will get better one day. Well, let me tell you, one day isn't coming. The clock is ticking. Time is moving forward whether you like it or not. And while you're waiting for the perfect moment, while you're waiting for everything to align, the world keeps moving. The world keeps evolving. People who were once in your position are already rising, already getting what they want. They're taking what they deserve, and they're leaving you behind. Why? Because they figured out the truth. Action is the only thing that matters. They figured out that nothing is ever going to be perfect. The time will never be ideal. There will always be obstacles, always be challenges, always be reasons to quit. But the ones who rise above those obstacles, the ones who succeed, are the ones who keep moving forward, no matter what. They take action. They don't sit around hoping for things to fall into place. They make things happen. But you've been lying to yourself. You've been telling yourself that you don't have enough time, enough energy, enough resources. You've been convincing yourself that you're not ready, that you need more experience, more knowledge. You've been holding yourself back because you're afraid to fail. But here's the reality check. Failure is part of the process. It's not something to be feared. It's something to be embraced. You think failure means you're not good enough. You think failure means you're not capable. But let me tell you something. Failure is the mark of someone who's trying. Failure is the sign that you're pushing yourself beyond your limits. That you're testing your boundaries. That you're learning. Failure is progress. Every time you fail, you get closer to success. Every time you fall, you rise stronger. But you can't rise if you don't take the first step. You can't grow if you're too afraid to move. And that's the other harsh truth you need to face. You're afraid. You've been afraid for too long. You've been paralyzed by fear, by self-doubt, by the pressure of what could go wrong. And that fear has kept you stuck. It's kept you in a cage of your own making. You've been telling yourself that you're not capable, that you don't have the strength, that you're not cut out for success. But the truth is, you've been holding yourself back because you're afraid of what could happen if you actually succeed. You're afraid of the responsibility, the pressure, the work that comes with greatness. And I get it. Success is scary. It's overwhelming. It forces you to step up, to be more than you are right now. But here's what you need to understand. That fear is a lie. That fear is nothing more than a reflection of your own insecurities. That fear is the voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough, telling you that you're going to fail. But you have the power to silence that voice. You have the power to step past that fear and into greatness. But only if you're willing to take the leap. Only if you're willing to take action, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're scared. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. Success is hard. It's not easy. It's a grind, a battle, a war that you have to fight every single day. But if you want it, if you truly want it, you have to be willing to pay the price. You have to be willing to sacrifice your comfort, your laziness, your doubts. You have to be willing to put in the work, day in and day out, without complaining, without giving up. You have to be relentless. You have to wake up every day and say, I'm going to crush it today. I'm going to do whatever it takes. The reality is, no one is coming to save you. There's no fairy godmother, no magic formula, no easy shortcut. You're on your own in this fight. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you'll understand what needs to be done. You're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to find strength that you didn't even know you had. You're going to have to push through pain, exhaustion, doubt, and fear. But if you do, if you rise up, if you stop playing the victim, if you stop blaming the world for your problems and take responsibility for your own future, then you will see what happens when you decide to fight. You will see what happens when you stop running from your fears and start facing them head on. You will see the rewards come to you, slowly but surely. And you'll look back one day and wonder how you ever thought you weren't strong enough, how you ever doubted your own power. But you're still here, you're still standing, and that's the first step. Now get up, get moving, and never look back. Now God is rushing to repay you. I hope you're feeling the weight of the truth now, because there's something even more terrifying that's about to come. You've heard the lies and now you face the raw truth. But let me ask you something. What happens if you don't change? You think you can keep going like this, right? You think you can keep hiding behind your excuses, your doubts, your comfort zones, and it won't cost you anything. You think you can stay in your little bubble, playing it safe, and nothing will change. Well, let me tell you, the cost of inaction is far greater than you think. If you don't move now, if you don't face the truth and step up to the plate, you will pay the price. And not just a small price either. No, you're looking at a life of regret, of missed opportunities, of watching others pass you by as they achieve the very things you've been dreaming about for years. And here's the real gut punch. You won't be able to blame anyone but yourself. You will be the one standing in your own way, and you will be the one left behind. The consequences of weakness aren't just about what you lose today. It's not just about the opportunities slipping through your fingers in this moment. The consequences stretch far beyond that. Your future self will curse the decisions you're making right now. Your future self will look back and wonder why you didn't take that leap, why you didn't push past your doubts, why you didn't just go all in when you had the chance. And guess what? By then it'll be too late. By then the window will have closed, the ship will have sailed, and you'll be left with nothing but regret. Think about that for a second. Regret. Regret is a heavy burden. It weighs you down. It cripples you. And it's a poison that you carry with you every day for the rest of your life. You think you'll just move on, but you won't. Regret stays with you. It eats at you. It nags at your soul, reminding you that you could have been more. You could have done more. You could have had more. You can't outrun regret. No matter how much you try to numb it with distractions, no matter how many new goals you set, it will always be there, lurking in the background, whispering that you didn't live up to your potential. It will taunt you every time you see someone else achieving what you should have achieved. Every time you watch someone else winning, while you remain stuck in the same place. And you want to know what the worst part is? The worst part is that you had the power to change it. You had the power to do something different. To fight for your future, to take control of your life. But you didn't. You let your doubts control you. You let your fears control you. And now you'll have to live with the consequences of that weakness. That's not a life you want. That's not a life anyone deserves. But if you keep down this path, that's exactly what's going to happen. You'll become a shadow of what you could have been. A shell of the person you were meant to become. And let me make this crystal clear. The world doesn't care about the could-haves. The world doesn't care that you could have been successful, if only you had the courage to take action. It doesn't care that you had dreams. All the world cares about is what you do, not what you could have done. And that's the hard truth you need to swallow. The world doesn't care about your excuses. The world doesn't care about your hardships. The world doesn't care if you've been knocked down. The world only cares about what you can prove. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to fight for? If you want to keep being weak, if you want to keep making excuses and waiting for things to magically get better, then fine. But don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't tell you what the cost of that decision would be. Because right now, you're standing at a crossroads. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, and you're about to take one of two paths. The first path is the easy one. The path that's full of comfort, the familiar routines of nothing changing. The path where you'll stay exactly where you are now, maybe with a little more regret each day, but at least you won't have to face the pain of failure. The path where you don't have to push yourself, where you don't have to take risks, where you don't have to be accountable for your own success. The path where you can just keep pretending that everything will work itself out. But I'll tell you something right now. That path leads to nowhere. The second path, that's the one that's hard. The one that's full of pain, discomfort, and struggle. The one where you'll face failure head on and learn from it. The one where you'll have to fight for every inch. Where you'll have to make sacrifices. Where you'll have to get uncomfortable. But it's also the path that leads to greatness. It's the path that leads to success, to self-respect, to the life you've always wanted. That's the path that leads to everything you've been dreaming about. But you can't have both. You can't have the comfort and the success. You have to choose. Right now you're standing at that crossroads, and you have to decide which road you're going to take. And don't you dare tell me you can't make a decision. Don't you dare tell me that you don't know what to do. The truth is, deep down, you already know. You already know what you need to do. You already know what action you need to take. What you need is the courage to take it. What you need is the strength to walk that path of pain and struggle and know that every step you take is one step closer to victory. If you don't choose the hard path, if you don't take action, then get ready for the consequences. The world doesn't wait. Time doesn't stop for anyone. You'll be left behind, forgotten, living a life full of regret, forever wondering what could have been. But if you make the choice to rise, if you make the choice to fight, if you make the choice to take action, then get ready for everything to change. Get ready to see your dreams turn into reality. Get ready to see the doors open, the rewards flood in, and the people who once doubted you watching in awe. The choice is yours. But remember this, the price of weakness is a life you'll never get back. Choose wisely. Now God is rushing to repay you. Enough with the excuses. Enough with the fear. Enough with the comfort. It's time for you to rise. You've spent too long in the shadows. You've spent too long hiding from the pain, the challenges, the hard truths. But now it's time for something different. It's time for a transformation that doesn't ask for your permission. It's time to step into the life you've been too afraid to claim. This is your moment. This is your war. You're about to break free from the chains that have held you captive, the lies that have kept you weak, and the self-doubt that has plagued you for far too long. You're done. You're done with the person you were, done with its complacency, done with being okay with mediocrity. You're about to become a force that no one can stop. It starts right here, right now, with a choice. You're either going to keep living in the same cage you've been in, or you're going to break the F-King bars and step out into the world, ready to take on whatever comes your way. And trust me, the moment you decide to rise, the moment you commit to breaking free, the entire universe will know. You will leave a mark. The strength you need. You already have it inside of you. You think you're weak because you've been letting your doubts control you. You think you're powerless because you've been stuck in the mindset that everything needs to be perfect before you can move. Let me tell you something. Perfection is a lie. The world doesn't give a damn about your perfect plan, your perfect moment, or your perfect circumstances. All it cares about is what you do when you're faced with adversity, when you're thrown into the fire, when the world tries to break you. You think you can't rise because you failed before, because you've fallen flat on your face too many times. Well, that's your ticket. Failure is your fuel. Every scar, every bruise, every ounce of pain you've endured is proof that you're still here. And that's exactly what you need. That's your foundation, the very thing that makes you unstoppable. You are stronger than your circumstances. You are stronger than your fears. You are stronger than all the pain and doubt that has tried to break you. You've been training for this moment your entire life, and you didn't even know it. But here's the thing. Rising isn't just about being tough. It's not about flexing your muscles or putting on a facade of strength. It's about resilience. It's about getting knocked down 1,000 times and getting back up every damn time. It's about knowing that no matter how many times life tries to destroy you, you won't stop. That's the kind of power you're about to unlock. You see, rising is a decision. A conscious, ruthless decision to stop letting the world dictate your story. You've been living in someone else's narrative for too long, following the script written for you by fear, by doubt, by everyone who told you you couldn't make it. It's time to rewrite the story. It's time to take the pen from their hands and put it back into yours. You are the author of your own future, and it's time to start writing a goddamn masterpiece. Do you think the world is going to hand you success on a silver platter? Hell no. The world doesn't give handouts. The world doesn't care how hard you work, how much you've suffered, how many times you've been knocked down. The world only respects the one thing you have control over, your action. And you have all the power you need. You've got everything it takes. You just have to take that first step. And let me tell you, there is no such thing as a small step. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a declaration that you're no longer willing to be weak. Every step you take is a reminder to the world that you're here to stay, that you're here to win, and that you won't be stopped. What's it going to take to make you understand? You think that just because you're scared, just because it seems impossible, that it's not meant for you. I'm here to tell you. That's exactly why it's meant for you. Your fears. They're not there to stop you, they're there to test you. To see how much you really want this. And if you're not willing to face those fears head on, if you're not willing to fight through the fear, the doubt, and the pain, then maybe you don't deserve what's coming. But if you're ready, if you're hungry enough to break through everything that's been holding you back, then there's nothing that can stop you. The power is already within you. That fire inside, it's been burning the whole time. You just have to let it loose. You are capable of greatness. You've been told you're not. You've been told that you don't have what it takes. But I'm telling you, right now, those people are wrong. You know what they didn't count on? They didn't count on you waking up. They didn't count on you realizing that the only thing holding you back was yourself. They didn't count on you seeing the truth that you are not weak. And the moment you realize that, the moment you accept that truth and let it fuel you, there's no going back. You're not just going to rise. You're going to obliterate everything in your path. So what's stopping you? Why are you still standing there hesitating? Time is running out. Every second you waste is a second you'll never get back. You can sit there, questioning yourself, wondering if you're ready, wondering if you have what it takes, or you can make a decision. Right now. Take action. Step into your greatness. Step into the life you've been too afraid to live. Step into the version of you that's been waiting to emerge. The person you were meant to be. The person who will stop at nothing to dominate this world. The moment you choose to rise is the moment everything changes. There's no going back. No undoing the transformation you're about to undergo. You'll either step forward into greatness or fall back into the pit of complacency and regret. The choice is yours, rise or fall. Fight or quit. The decision is in your hands. But when you rise, when you finally unleash that beast inside you, the world will feel it. And there's no going back. Now's the time. The future is waiting. Let's go. Now God is rushing to repay you. This is it. The final stretch. The moment where everything you've been through, everything you've fought for, everything you've sacrificed, it all comes down to this. There's no more time to wait. No more time to hesitate. You've been warned. The world doesn't care about your struggles. The world doesn't care about your past. The only thing it cares about now is what you're going to do next. And if you've been paying attention, you know exactly what that is. Get up. Now. There is no turning back. You've seen the truth, you've faced the consequences. You've made the decision to rise, and now it's time for you to move. Not tomorrow, not next week. Not after you feel ready. Now. The second you hesitate till you wait for things to line up perfectly, that's the second the world leaves you behind. The clock is ticking. The universe isn't waiting for you to get your shit together. You think your perfect moment is just around the corner. It's not. It was never going to be. The only thing you need is the decision to go, the will to keep moving forward, and the action to back it all up. That's it. Get out of your own way. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. You think you're disqualified because you've been knocked down 100 times? Guess what? Those failures were never meant to stop you. They were meant to make you better, stronger, more relentless. And now, you have to take everything you've learned, everything you've been through, and turn it into fuel. The fire you've been holding back for so long, it's time to let it burn. You've got one shot at this. One shot to make it count. One shot to prove to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that you are not a victim. You are a warrior. A force. And you're not backing down, not now, not ever. So stop wasting time. The lies, the excuses, they mean nothing anymore. The time for doubt is over. It's time to act. Move forward. And when you do, when you take that first step, something incredible happens. You'll start to see the rewards that come from relentless action. You'll start to see the universe begin to align with you. Doors that once seemed locked will begin to open. Opportunities that you thought were beyond your reach will suddenly become clear. And you'll realize something that may have eluded you before. God has been waiting for you to move. You've been asking for signs. You've been waiting for the perfect moment. But the truth is, everything you've been seeking was always in your hands. All you needed to do was act. When you move, the universe moves with you. When you rise, God will rush to meet you halfway. Every step you take will be rewarded. Every move you make will push you closer to your greatness. And now you have to give everything you've got. No more hesitation. No more self-doubt. No more playing small. This is your time. This is your moment to go out and claim what's always been yours. But understand this: when you step forward, when you decide to rise, it's not going to be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. There will be pain. There will be struggle. There will be moments when you question yourself, but you will not quit. That's the difference. The difference between the winners and the losers, between the successful and the failures is this: the winners don't stop. When you take that step, when you make that move, there's no going back. You will break every chain. You will smash every barrier. You will push past every wall. And you will rise not because life is going to make it easy for you, but because you've made the decision to never ever back down. So do it. Now get up, step forward, and own your future. This is your call to action. This is the moment where you either decide to be ordinary or rise to the occasion. You've been given everything you need. Now use it. Rise, fight, win. This is your war, and you're not losing this battle.